Here's a book that will teach you Krav Maga techniques at every belt level. Hi guys, my name is Joe, and welcome to Fighting Words, the martial arts library. On this channel, I review martial arts books and talk about other martial arts related subjects. The book I'm going to be reviewing today is called Complete Krav Maga by Darren Levine and John Whitman. It was originally published in 2007. Now, Mr. Levine his day job is as an assistant district attorney in Los Angeles, a job he's worked for several years now. Mr. Whitman is an author who, among other things, has written several Star Wars themed horror stories for kids. I'm sort of interested in seeing what those are like now. Mr. Levine was the founder of Krav Maga Worldwide, so this is sort of his baby. I actually know him from a video series that preceded this book that is very much in the same vein. Anyway, the intro chapters are actually very similar to what you'd see in many other martial arts books, although they do note that they do not consider Krav Maga a martial art. It is a defensive tactics system. Okay. For my purposes, this is a system of hand-to-hand combat. To me, it's the same thing, but I guess your mileage may vary depending on what you consider a martial art and what isn't. But yeah, in the intro, it goes over the history behind Krav Maga, the principles under which it operates, as well as how to apply these principles and your training in everyday life. So, again, very similar to many other martial arts books, even though it's not a martial art. Anyway, the bulk of the book is on the techniques, and the techniques range from combatives, which are your basic punches, kicks, strikes, that sort of thing. You have defenses or self-defense stuff, which is pretty much what it sounds like. Somebody grabs a headlock, you do this. Somebody gets you in a full Nelson, you do that. It also includes quite a wealth of weapons defense, and also includes some offensive grappling, including in the form of things like wrist locks and throws and some groundwork. Now, the techniques are listed by belt level, and they get more and more complex as you move through the belt levels. So you're going to learn your fundamental boxing punches at yellow belt, and then you're going to be doing some jumping kicks at brown belt. So this does include the curriculum of yellow belt through brown belt, so that's yellow, orange, green, blue, and then brown. But there was a follow-up text, which I'm not covering today, called Black Belt Krav Maga, which I assume is going to be the completion of this curriculum. Now, at each belt level, we do get combatives. Like I said, that's the basic strikes and blocks. And we also get your defenses at each level. There are some classes of techniques that are exclusive to each belt level. So we get like judo-style throws at brown belt, for instance, and wrist locks, or what they refer to as cavaliers, at blue belt level. And quick little historical note, apparently they're called that because the founder of the style thought that they were fancy, and also that cavalier was a fancy name. That's the story of why they're called cavaliers, as passed on to me through Krav Maga books. Now, the weapons defenses cover a lot of ground. We're talking everything from sticks and knives to like shotguns and machine guns. Pistols are obviously in there. I like the inclusion of weapons defenses. I do question how one is able to pressure test this. Krav Maga as a system has a reputation as, this is what the elite Israeli military self-defense, this is what they train, right? If you look a little bit deeper than that, Krav Maga is a term that's used in the Israeli military for hand-to-hand combat. It's not necessarily a universal codified program. So if your hand-to-hand instructor has a background in Muay Thai, your Krav Maga is going to look a lot like Muay Thai. At least that's my understanding, including from people who've gone over to Israel to train. I generally like their curriculum in here. But again, when it comes to the weapon stuff, I'm not saying that it's bad. I don't know if it's bad. I don't know if it's good. Some of it seems to follow some pretty good principles. Like the very first thing they do with all firearms defenses is get the firearm offline. I think that is a good principle. I would like to see this pressure tested somehow. Just me personally. Not to be a ground fighting snob, I do, take a few small issues with some of the ground fighting that they show. One is, they are not showing a bad technique. The way they frame it bugs me, though. They refer to a triangle choke as a variation of an armbar. It just bugs me, guys, because it's not. One is a hidden arm carotid choke. The other is a hyperextension of the elbow. And even how you utilize your legs are different. And, one, you need to take an angle at the very beginning of the move, and the other, you don't necessarily need to hit an angle on it. And it's just, they're not the same. So to call one a variation of the other bugs me. That could just be me, though. There's also a technique they show in their ground fighting stuff where, you're on your back kicking up at the guy, and he grabs your foot, and you like turn to your side and do a round kick to the hand that's holding your foot. And there's a part of me, number one, that wonders how necessary that is. Is this something that you encounter a whole lot, and why wouldn't you just like keep bicycle kicking, until they let go? Like, figure you can like scrape the fingers off of your hand. Does this come up enough in order for it to be addressed, I guess, is what I'm asking. And number two, in order to throw that, you need to move your kicking leg over and past the leg that's being held. This concerns me because from the perspective of ground fighting that exposes your back, I don't know how an untrained person would react. But as somebody who understands a thing or two, if you've turned away from me, then all I need to do, I'm just going to step past that leg, put my shin on your hip, and, if you are ineffective at ground fighting, I'm winning now. My position has dramatically improved. My ability to commit offense and your ability to defend yourself and get out of that situation has drastically decreased. So again, I might be nitpicking, and maybe it's more important than I'm aware of, but like I said, just it's a little bit spotty, So, as far as the pros go, I do like how there's a defense against a variety of attacks, everything from strikes to grabs to a variety of weapons. Some ground stuff, not extensive, but I'd say if you drilled it well, it would be enough against most untrained or lower level people. Um, I like the fact that it is progressive. This is shown in a belt rank level, and you can see earlier on you're using more fundamentals, and then it gets more and more advanced as you go through. And on a technical level, most of the stuff looks solid. As far as the cons go, there are some techniques that I think are spotty, maybe, perhaps. Um, I'm not going to call them bad. I'm going to say that I do not have confidence in them. This could be a part that's on me. Maybe I need to train this stuff enough. I don't know. But there are things there that I find a little bit questionable, or like at the brown belt level, you do like an outside crescent kick into a jumping front kick, and like why? That do you want to do that? Is that going to come up in a fight? I'm not sure that's ever come up in any fight, but it's taught. I mean, if you're going to have belt ranks and a certain curriculum of techniques per rank, after you get past like the fundamental stuff, which is the most useful stuff, I guess you need to start filling it out with stuff that's less fundamental and less useful, perhaps. Recommendations. If this is up to date with the Krav Maga Worldwide curriculum, then I think a student who's going into that will find this a very useful study guide. Outside of that, like I said, I think the techniques are solid. If in some cases somewhat extraneous. I think if you have a good background in something like, kickboxing, you could take this. You don't really need to go further into, the combatives, the basic strikes. But with your background, you could take, the defenses against grabs and chokes and all that stuff, and maybe the weapon stuff. Again, I'm hesitant to endorse it because I don't know. I got questions about it. But yeah, if you have an existing martial arts background, a lot of this stuff is going to be familiar, but then you can add some of the other applications on top of it. So, pretty solid book for that. If you have zero self-defense background, first of all, train. But I think this would do okay as a good start for defense against common forms of attack. And they have some nice drills, showing you how to drill the basic, techniques and stuff in here. So overall, I think it is a solid book as far as practical use goes. Again, I have some question marks around the weapons defense, but again, let me make it clear, I'm not saying they're bad, I just don't know if they're good. They seem to make intuitive sense. I'd like to see them used. I'd like to see them pressure tested. Yeah. But overall, again, a really solid book. And especially if you are going into this branch of Krav Maga, assuming that the curriculum hasn't changed since 2007, I think it'll be a great study guide as you go through the ranks. And anyway, that's all I got for this week, guys, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you.